Okay. All right. Guess I am live right now. Hello, everybody. Yeah. So this is a little bit of a different experience going live on here. There are comments. Okay. So, yeah, this was a slow start. So bear with me because, yeah, this is a new experience for me going live. So this will be interesting. But whatever. Let's do this, right? Um, where I'm at. So I have my coffee right here, with my dad mug because every dad has to have their mug, right? It's pretty early, so I don't know if anybody's going to be on here or not, but this is more of a spontaneous thing, and I'll get into that a little bit later. I do have some things planned. I did was taking some notes yesterday, so I do have some things that I would like to talk about. So I'll get into that. Um, yeah, so I just want to start off by talking about I'm going to do some of these lives, and I'll have, again, like I said, I have a plan for that, and a strategy. There's a reason for me doing these things, but uh, I want these to be, sort of a casual conversation, just for us to connect and get to know each other, right? That's why I kind of just, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to have my coffee. It's early in the morning. If you're a dad, if you're a parent, you know that these times are sacred, right? Like I always get up before anybody in the house. Always get up before anybody in the house, because it's super quiet. I can watch some shows. I can watch, some YouTube. Um, I can listen to a podcast and kind of think and reflect and kind of have that time when my house is quiet, because my house is never quiet. Either it's like kids, we have a big golden doodle running around, just kind of things going on. Like we have a lot of sports going on today. My daughter's going to have tennis practice here soon. So it's just constant, busy day. And I think that a lot of you kind of have that same thing going on. So I just want to come on here, and answer some of your questions, talk about some things. It's like almost like I want this to be on kind of raw and unfiltered, real talk. Um, like I said, casual conversation, going against the YouTube gurus, I must say, because YouTube gurus say that you have to have some kind of, you know, full agenda, slide presentation, ready to go. But you know what? Like, I don't follow the rules, right? I do my own thing, and that's just the way I roll, right? So I want this to be a conversation, um, that we can just have. Okay, so I'm going to show you some notes that I had and some like the reasons why I'm doing this, and then we can kind of just talk about some things, right? So my goal for so let's sorry, I'm a little distracted. My daughter just woke up, so she's yelling at the top of her lungs for my wife. So just real transparency, right? Um, so yeah, let's talk about the AI right now, right? So everything is on social media, online, is there's a lot of AI, there's a lot of AI slop out there, a lot of emails look the same, a lot of the same content, a lot of the same people talking about the same things going on right now. Yeah, and like using AI as a tool is a great thing, right? We can all kind of learn something from that, but it's kind of, you don't want to lean too heavily on it. And for my coaching and my coaching business, and for my program, Lean and Fit Over 40, uh, my goal for now and like the upcoming year, so the rest of 2025 and 2026, is to create a more human-centered experience, right? So it's all about, for me, it's all about connection, Few things I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. But I have, some new things coming in the near future that I'm working on right now to make that possible, especially like in the health and fitness space, right? Like, we are, we're all learning. I'm learning, right? I'm on here right now doing something for the first time, and also kind of pivoting some business strategy that I think is best for, serving you and doing things for you, and also best for my business and how I do things. So learning experience, and that's a big part of my philosophy. If you either know me personally or have seen any of my content at all. But more about you. So when you are, going through my program or any program, really, it's all about new habits, uh, learning new skills and creating new habits, right? That's what's going to get you to where you want to be. All that talk about consistency, kind of it all starts with, skills and habits, and learning those things, which that's what I do teach in my Lean and Fit Over 40 program. But I've always actually had a human-centered approach to the way I do things. That's just how I want to be. Like, I don't just want to sell you a course or a program and kind of leave you hanging, right? I want to be there for support, whenever you need support. I always go back to, my old, my Muay Thai days, where, and I always kind of use those, that time in my experience there. I use some metaphors sometimes, but the way I like to explain it is that if you've ever seen a boxing match, UFC fight, when the fighters are in there kind of mixing it up, right? They're going through their thing, but then in between rounds, they sit on their stool and they're usually in a corner with a corner man, right? And that corner man is, maybe putting some ice on them, fixing cuts, but they're really talking to them about where their mind's at, where you at, what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, what you need to be doing, what the strategy is going forward, right? In the moment, coaching. And that's what I like to say that I am to you. I'm your corner man, right? Like where we equate being in your life for being over 40, right? We have a lot of responsibilities. We're kind of like the sandwich generation. You might be taking care of some parents. We definitely have kids. We have careers. We have a lot of things going on, right? We're super busy, a lot of responsibilities happening. So we're in that fight every day, like, just out there in life surviving, right? Like trying to get through. So in between those rounds, we need to take some time, and that's why I can be doing your thing, your training, doing the nutrition practices the way you should be doing, right? And just going through your life. You're going to need support here and there throughout that journey. So that's why I always have that you have access to me, either that's through email, through direct messaging through the platform that I use for my program, or some new things that I have coming up, which I'm excited about, which I'm going to talk to you about. But yeah, so that's the whole idea behind me wanting to have a more human-centered approach. I'm going to give you even more access to me and kind of have it based more around community, because I think that's a very, very important thing. Like when I first had the idea of my coaching program and what I wanted to do, and sort of what more of my purpose was in a season of life, that having that community was from the start. I just didn't know really where it would fit in with my business. But now I have, I've gone through this for a little while now. I've had some people move through my program. I have some people that I've had in my VIP one-on-one coaching program. And I've learned a lot by working with them, and have them go through my program and kind of, learning and tweaking as I go. Cause it's always an ever changing thing. It's never something that stays static. So it never should stay static, right? We want to have a growth mindset, and we want to always keep progressing and moving forward. So that's kind of how I even approach my life and my business. So going back to, so I have, my whole purpose for even being on here live is to have more um, of a connection. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm sort of learning the tech as well. So as you can see, so you may hear some pauses, but that's the whole thing about going live, right? It's real talk. Yeah, so that's the whole thing about me being on here live is my goal, like I said, end of 2025, 2026, and really like for the foreseeable future, right? Like I want to have more connection with you. So in this digital world, there are these boundaries that we have, these digital boundaries, right? Like there are levels to it though. You may watch a YouTube video of mine that I have, that I want to get a point across. So, it may be a mix of, some scripted content that I have because I want to get my point across, or mixed with, just some, just me talking and some riffing. Like I have a lot of that. Or like, if you've seen some of my workouts in the garage, that is all just me talking to you and coaching you. So it's me breaking down another one of those barriers of this digital space. And this being on here live is breaking down another one of those barriers, right? Like they're always going to have some barrier. There's never going to be where you're sitting in my living room or in my gym, right? So I have that barrier. But I think this going live, and we'll see how this works, is breaking down almost all of those barriers, so we can just talk and you can kind of get a sense of, who I am as a person, and just more of that, like a real unfiltered conversation, no edits, no nothing, we're just on here talking about stuff, right? And that's kind of how I want that to be. And that's how I am going to be structuring things in my new community that I have. It's called the Fit 40 Inner Circle. So it's basically for people that have entered my program or membership. And I'll get into that membership part of that in a little bit too. But I want to have more, live events, monthly calls. And I'm calling those monthly calls as of now, going on there and, preaching to you or presenting things to you, or just like teaching you or talking to you, right? It's going to be like an equal space. That's why I'm calling it the round table, where we come in there for men and women over 40, come in there for real conversation. What are you struggling with? What do you need help with? Of course, I will be the facilitator and moderator of that, but we're going to have equal time and equal space for everybody, and everybody's going to have a say. Like there's not going to be, there's no hierarchy in voices in the room. That's the whole premise and idea of that. So just want to mention that. And let's see. Oh, so yeah. So aiming for more connection, and then back to why do I think that's a good thing for you, right? So we're in the health and fitness space, nutrition space, right? We can go through a course and you can learn stuff, but just like when you're teaching kids a sport, how do they learn the fastest, right? They learn the fastest through feedback. Even if you're learning something new, if you're learning a sport, learning anything, new skill, you need immediate feedback. If you're not getting that immediate feedback, then you're going to progress slower. So the way you progress fast is by having immediate feedback. So that is the biggest piece here, right? So that's what my vision is here. So if you're in my course, in my program, and you need some immediate feedback, if you need some form advice, or, you need me to hop on a call, or you need, this or that, like I'm here for you. That's what I'm here for. It's a service for you, right? I want you to succeed. I want you to go through your transformation or whatever goal that you want. I want you to get there as fast as possible, because I know that for a lot of us, right, it's hard, man. Like it's like, staying true to your fitness and nutrition, the full year is difficult. Like I even have a difficult time with that the whole year as well. And I'll get into that in a little bit as well. Onto kind of, things that I've learned in my own health and fitness journey. That's, a big piece of that. I'll kind of go back to my notes a little bit. So that's kind of another thing I'm going to be talking about, is what I have learned in my own health and fitness journey over the past decades, over the past 20 plus years of, me being in my own health and fitness journey, my, Muay Thai days, going back. I've been an athlete my entire life, and just things that I've learned over those 20, 25 years that I can really pass on to you. And these are needle movers, right? This is not some BS. These are needle movers. These are things that I have learned and actions that I have taken that have really moved the needle in my own life. So I want to share that with you. So I'll be going over that in a little bit. But let me take a sip of my coffee. So because we're having coffee here. All right, cool. Yeah, so if you're here watching, want to jump in the comments if you have any questions. Definitely I'm here to answer those. Just put a Q or a couple Qs in front of your comment and, answer questions, because this is going to be partly Q&A as well. Like I said, just having a conversation. So, all right, cool. So what was I talking about? Another thing about me too is that my brain goes a mile a minute. So I lose train of thought on the regular. So I may bounce around a lot, but that's why I have my experience possible. It's not just about coming into or buying a course or coming into somebody's program. It's about the experience, right? That's my goal, is to create the best experience for you. And I believe that this new way that I'm going to kind of approach things is the best way of doing that. So I'm adding some exciting things to my Lean and Fit Over 40 program, or LF40 for short. So stay tuned for that announcement, because I'm working on those things as we speak, and I'll be announcing those things soon. So so let's get into some of these things. How about that? So I was jotting down some notes yesterday, thinking of some new things I may want to talk about on, this YouTube channel, or in my emails, or really, writing blog posts, whatever, like some upcoming things and themes that I want to talk about. And before I get into this, I'm just going to go over to my website. So if you go to my website, that is ctofit.com, and you want to join my Fit 40 Insider newsletter. So it's an email I sent out. Most of the time I try and stay on a weekly cadence. Sometimes life gets in the way, or, things like that. So, but usually it's going on a weekly cadence. These are going to be things that I am learning in my own life, seeing in the nutrition space, some, always science backed. I'll throw some research links, some research articles in there. Always going to be sort of research and science based. I like to have those things driving what I'm, giving to you or putting out there, right? I want to have some insights. I just don't want to be, I'm really like not anti-influencer, but I just don't put things out there just because I want to talk about them, or I think that I'm assuming that this works, or just to get clicks, or just to get likes. Like, I am putting out real science-backed insights for things that are tested and proven, right? And then how they reflect in my own experience. And also just proven fitness and nutrition strategies and real world application. So I'm also thinking about how you can take action on these things as well, and just actionable tips that we want to train, better and smarter as we're over 40. So if you want to jump in there, just put your name and email in there, and then you will get signed up for my email list. And then I'll come down here as well. And also right below that, if you want to, I have this free guide, or could be an ebook as well. It's a pretty robust guide on, how to crush your home workouts and get the best out of a home gym space. I have a equipment on here of the best equipment, I think, to get started with, even on a tight budget. So I know when people get started on the health and fitness journey, you're starting a home gym, if you're trying to start a home space, and you kind of just don't even know what to get. Like, should I go to Rogue and spend a bunch of money, or should I, get the best equipment? And like, I'm usually I usually recommend, yes, like you should, if you have it, if you have the resources, get the best equipment out there, or somewhat as close to the best equipment as you can get, right? Because if you spend the money, like that's how I am. If I spend my hard-earned money on something, I want it to last my lifetime, and I also would like to hand it to down to my daughter if possible. Yeah, right. So the Rogue kettlebells that I have, I know those things are going to last like multiple lifetimes. Like those things, I have had them for a long time. I beat them up, and sometimes a little rust gets on them. But, I mean, because I keep them in the garage and they're obviously metal, but I know that hurting the integrity of them. I usually just wipe that off with a Brillo pad or something like that, a steel wool cloth. But anyway, so yeah, so I have, but what I was gonna say is that I understand that when you're starting, right, and you may want to have that full investment on the best equipment possible. So I have a kind of sort of a budget guide of, where you can get things. You can order a kettlebell from Amazon. That's kind of what the one thing I have in here, and it comes quick, right? You don't have to wait for, that usually freight shipping from someplace else that may take a little bit longer. Then, I trained overseas. I've trained in New York City, been in the room with some pretty high profile, I guess, seeing celebrities train, seeing a champion UFC fighters train in the same room and being with them. So I've seen some things, right? So I've learned some things. So that's why I'm here. I'm going to pass that knowledge and experience on to you, because I want you to use those things and succeed, right? Okay. So I was trying to prioritize these in order. These are in no particular order. But just kind of like me had on a brain dumping down, or, jotting down some things, the other day. So let's start with, the home gym itself. So one of the biggest game changers, and believe me, I've not just jujitsu or Muay Thai gyms, right? Like just regular bodybuilding style gyms. Like I have trained at a lot of gyms, from big box gyms to very small and gritty, almost like commercial gyms, but they're, locally owned and in a basement somewhere, like super gritty, right? Like I've trained every single place that you could imagine. But the biggest game changer for me, I mean, being over 40, is having a home space. Being able to go out to my garage and put in, even if it's like 10, 15 minutes, and get something in, even if it's not a full workout, even if I just say, I just going to want to do, maybe some dumbbell bench press, or, some pull-ups, and I'm done. Like that's my workout, right? It doesn't have to be this full on programmed workout. You just want to go out there and do something and get something in. The home gym is a game changer for that, because guess what? When I was going to the gym, and you may be in this boat, for you to actually, pack your clothes in a bag, I don't know if you work from home or go to work or go to an office or go into work every day. If you go somewhere, you have to pack a bag, and you have to do those things. You have to plan ahead of time, right? And then you have to take time after work, and that's time away from your family, to go to the gym. You have to commute there, put yourself in a locker, get changed, go out to the gym floor, and sorry, my phone's ringing, so I'm gonna put that on pause. So you have to go out to the gym floor, and when I used to go to the gym, I used to jump on the treadmill for 10, 15, 20 minutes before I even started training. So, there's again another 20 minutes there, then get on the gym floor. And if you've been in a gym, I don't have to go over all of those pain points, right? But like waiting for equipment. If I wanted to, I was out doing chest that day and all the benches were taken, then I had to kind of, now I have to on the fly switch up my entire workout to do something else, because all this equipment is taken, or it's super crowded, or that's at a time when it's really crowded, right? So all those things. There are some benefits to the gym, right? Like there's a certain energy in a gym. Everybody's working out. There's people there. That's that's a good thing. But, there are always trade-offs, and, but I just think those trade-offs are worth it to be working out at home. You know, like I said, if I can just go out in the garage and do a quick 10-15 minute workout, that workout I would probably have skipped if I had to go to a gym, because I would be thinking, oh, I have to spend at least, if I'm going to take some time to go there, I have to at least have to spend a ton of time in the gym, right? If I'm going there. So then I probably would just skip that workout. So then I end up, having more consistency and more workouts by working out at home. I didn't put this on here, but like just having, if you have a parent out there and you have kids, having your kids watch you adopt a healthy lifestyle into your own life, just sets them up for success in the future. They see the workout space. They even go out there and mess around with the weights, and are very curious about that. It becomes a normal part of their existence. So when they grow up, oh, hey, thanks, Stu. Good to see you, man. Welcome. Cool. So getting some comments. I'm going to put this on the screen. Thanks, Stu. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, hang around. All right, cool. All right, sweet. All right, again, learning all the tech, right? For these lives, but cool. All right, so yeah, so then your kids are out there curious, and it becomes a normal part of their life. Like, fitness will never be something that they just like fit into their life. It's just going to be a normal thing. So when they go through, their life, it's not going to be, again, not going to be a thing they're just injecting in there. It's going to be normal for them, and that's just you're just setting them up for success by having them. So that's kind of like a happy byproduct of just having things, you're working out in the gym. Okay, I went over all of these. Just, having your own space. And I really use it as, I was saying a trade-off is you're by yourself in the gym. And, some of the difficulties of that is you have to kind of get yourself to, okay, I'm pausing because my daughter is yelling, and hopefully my wife is going to be helping her. Anyway, okay. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So, just having a home gym in general is, going to be, a huge game changer for you. So I'm just going to move on to the next one. I may go back and touch on some things if some things pop in my head, but I'm just going to go on to the next one for sake of moving forward. Okay, so before I open this up, so the next one I have is here, becoming more aware of my food intake. So, really throughout my health and fitness journey, and even back in my Muay Thai days, I was aware of my food intake, always tried to eat clean, but there became a moment, and really when I was in my late 30s approaching 40, and we had our daughter and things were getting busy and responsibilities, when I was really getting more focused on paying attention to what I was eating even more, and giving that even more dialed in, I realized, like, in my younger days, I was really leaning heavily on being young, right? And just being more active. And, I was training like crazy, right? I was training all the time. I had a bunch of time to train. So I was leaning heavily on that. And I was just, training so hard that my diet mattered, but it wasn't everything, right? Like, I probably would say I was just putting training first and not putting nutrition number one. And what I found out when I was getting closer to 40 and even over 40, and like where I'm at now at 48, is the biggest thing is, and I have a YouTube video on this if you jump on my channel, where I say nutrition is king. It is king, where it is number one, right? It is the number one thing that you need to be focusing on. And it does a bunch of things for you. So when I talk about food intake, and yes, I'm talking about tracking your food and tracking your macros and everything that involves that. And the reason I say that with a little bit of a like a laugh or a smirk is because um, I think there's some misconceptions out there about tracking your food. Like, oh, and I had these same thoughts. So believe me, like I get it, right? It's going to take a bunch of my time. It's hard. It's tedious. Like I don't want to count every single bite, every single calories. And you might hear a bunch of like, influencers out there, and they try and focus their marketing on, well, you don't have to track every bite and things like that. Right. And that is true. And like, eating your favorite foods. And, I say those things too, but that is true. So what it does for you is it gives you more freedom and more control over what you're eating. But I think it's a big mental blocker for a lot of people where they hear tracking macros and tracking food and they immediately shut their brain off, right? That not keeping an open mindset about that and not being open to that idea that could work for you is probably setting you back from a very crucial and important skill that if you learned it would make your life so much easier, right? Like when I learned that skill and really got that dialed in and really studied it and got good at that skill, that gave me more control and more awareness of what was going on in my body. It made me actually, there's a couple things that happened. I became more aware of my mistakes and my gaps and things I was doing wrong, right? You know me or have heard me talk anywhere previously, you know that I'm a big numbers person. I'm big on data and insights. And when you have that data in front of you and you're able to know how to manipulate that data, it is like a superpower, right? I think there's I think there's a saying in the financial world that says what gets measured gets managed. And that is so true. Like if you're not measuring some capacity, what you're putting in your body, how are you even going to know at all how much protein you're taking in, how many carbs you have, how many, calories are you eating per day? If you want to be in maintenance, if you want to be in calorie deficit, if you want to be in a surplus and trying to put a little bit of muscle on, you're not going to know any of that stuff, right? It's all guessing. And I've done that. I was like totally guessing before into what I was putting in my body. And then when I learned to, harness, the power of like MyFitnessPal and I really, once you get good at it, like anything, it's going to be difficult and weird and hard at first, but once you learn a skill, it's like, it's so easy now. Right. And there are seasons to it. I think that's what a lot of people don't really get, is that you don't have to be dialed in and sacrificing and being a little bit of hungry and all the things that go into when you're in a fat loss phase, right? You don't have to be like that the whole entire year. I mean, there's seasons to it, right? If you're trying to get ready for the beach, or I've put on like 10 or 15 or 20 pounds because I had something come up in my life, or just because I'm over 40 and I fell off track a little bit, right? Like, and I need to a little bit of body recomposition. I need to put on a little bit of muscle. I need to, lose some fat, right? Like having that skill is going to make that so much easier on you, to where you're not guessing. And it actually does, like I said, say about happy byproducts or happy accidents, right? What else it does for you too, is that you don't have to have that food guilt of, oh, I ate some pizza, or I had a burger, I had a couple beers here or there, or whatever, that you can actually, there's strategies that you can put in place that you can accommodate for those things. And so you're not actually falling off track. You're actually, you may be at a point where, and I'll get into that a little bit later too, you actually may be giving your body more of what it needs if you're depriving it for the week, or I shouldn't say depriving. I said, if you're like in a fat loss phase and a calorie deficit phase, and I'll go into, a refeed day and what that entails and that whole strategy. But like I have here, like, no more guessing, and because you have the data right in front of you, and you can manipulate that data. That's what I was talking about the whole measuring what you measure measure get yeah, what you measure gets managed. Um, I think that's right. Anyway, you get the point. So when you have the data right in front of you, you can manipulate that data to whatever your goals are. If that's fat loss, muscle gain, if you have or want to be like in a maintenance phase and just kind of chill, if that's your chill season, which now it's, November 1st. So, we're getting into that. Whether you're in your chill season or you're in your winter arc, as they say, for me, I usually have it dialed in spring and summer, and then in the fall too. And I'm not going to say but I relax a little bit around this time. And I'll get into that too a little bit. The whole concept of people talk about they want a winter bulk, and I don't do that. And I'll get into that a little bit too. But also like I said, no more food guilt. You're confident in your skills. If you have, some pizza or a burger here and there, it's not going to just wreck all your progress or wreck what you're doing. So I have this image here of when you hear people say like dialing it in, I like to use the example of it's like dials on a radio, right? So if you're trying to adjust the volume, the bass, the treble, the balance, you're trying to dial all those things and get those things nice and perfect to whatever music that you are listening to. Tracking your food is the same way. When you get really, really good at it, it's like dialing a radio. Well, you can get really, really precise on getting that dialed in. And it's all about through action, trial and error, and experimentation, right? But once you get it dialed in, man, it's a great, great thing. And you can just keep rolling with that. So if you want to, if you're like, say you're, it's springtime and you're kind of, I need to lose some fat. I want to get in really good shape because I'm going to the beach. I want to look good in a bathing suit. Hey, I need to be in a little bit of a fat loss phase. So I'm going to, dial back those calories a little bit. I may dial up my protein a little bit so I'm not losing muscle. I may, everything has to be even. So I may, even out the fat, dial the carbs up or down, depending on what my activity is that day, things like that. Like you can see how when you're when you have an advanced skill set like that after doing it for a little while, you can get really, I'd say like laser targeted. And that's the power and the beauty of that whole thing. And believe me, like you can get there. It's not rocket science. Like I'm not a special person. I sort of, just taught myself. I did have, knowledge of nutrition experience over the years. So, I did catch on to this pretty quickly, but believe me, if you have the right knowledge and, somebody coaching and giving you those things, you can get there very quickly. It's not a hard thing to understand. It's just, there's little nuances here and there, and it's just about doing it and taking action like everything else. So I have here, like the awareness is the path to freedom. So like I said, you don't have to have any food guilt, and you know exactly what's going in your body, and what amounts, and it just makes your whole life so much easier. And I went into those levels and seasons to it, right? You're not going to start out being the person who dials everything in, right? You're going to maybe just learn how to, see what your calories are and track your protein. That's it. Like, don't worry about carbs and fat at first. And there's levels to it. Then you kind of keep getting more and more targeted as you go up this pyramid. So the next thing I have here is cutting out alcohol and booze. So, when I was younger, I definitely could get after it on a Friday or Saturday night, right? So as I've gotten older, though, I just learned that, and this is not telling you to do anything. I'm going over things that have worked for me, right? And things I have learned from taking certain actions and maybe dropping certain habits, right? So I was just learning that it was not doing me any favors. Drinking wine and beer and really I was, I'd say like more in excess than just having like a glass of wine here and there, a beer here and there. Right. So, it really was, I just found it came to a point where it really wasn't serving me anymore. So I wanted to, do a little bit of an experiment and just, cut it out altogether. And I'll tell you what, like I've just noticed an immense change in everything. I've felt a ton better. I've been present 100% of the time, and I don't have to wake up on a Saturday morning and feel like I need to, take a minute or takes longer to get going because I have a little bit of a hangover or something like that. Like I am, focused and present all the time. And I feel great, not to mention. And those are kind of expected things that you would expect. Some things you wouldn't expect is that on the nutrition side of things, I realized how many empty calories I was just consuming and what it was doing to me. And really, like, over the years, even my younger days, that it was really halting a lot of the progress and the potential that I could have had in my, let's call it gains with a Z, right? I probably could have been in I'd say, a better place than I even am now if I would have taken these actions, when I was younger. But, that's just the way life rolls, right? And when I was younger, I realized that I had to work so much harder just to stay even or have maybe any progress. And it was just hard to get ahead, and I was finding that out. And then over 40 hit, and boom, like I was working out, but I was kind of just feel like I was just not getting any progress and not seeing the results of what I thought I should have saw, the return on my investment that I was putting in. I wasn't seeing that. And I think that looking back that, having alcohol in the mix was, a big driver of the lack of results that I was seeing and kind of where I was at. So I just like to put in here that this was a big one for me. This is like, this might be like, I'd say a weird subject for some people. I don't know, but I thought I'd throw it in here just because it has worked for me. Yeah. And it's one of those things it's surprising when you, it's not like I intentionally was like, oh, I'm just, getting sober or not going to drink anymore. It was kind of just a gradual thing. And I just found it out over time. And then it's like, if you've ever known anybody that has smoked, or when you like quit smoking and you realize when you get to a point where you don't even think about those things anymore, and you're like, man, I don't even know how I even did that, because I realize I don't even need it to live a good life, or live a healthy life, or feel good in my life. So, and I don't miss it, right? Like, I mean, if I go somewhere and people like watching a game and they're having a bunch of beers, and like, yeah, sure, I could have a couple beers and be fine. But I'm like, why do that? I'm just gonna, have a good time while I'm here. I'm gonna feel great later tonight and the next day. And I'm not gonna want to go eat late night Taco Bell or eat late night pizza. So there's that plus to that too. So moving on to the next one. So I would say the next biggest needle mover that I have found out was walking. And I talk about this maybe ad nauseum. I talk about this a lot. Is walking is highly, highly underrated. I was a person who thought, again, I was so all or nothing in my younger days, man. Like it's just crazy. To where, let me go back to this full screen a little bit. Yeah, so I was so all or nothing. It was ridiculous, right? Like I thought I had to, and this was partly the thing I was talking about, where the going on a Friday night or whatever, or having weekends where I was drinking and eating in excess, to where I thought that I had to go out and run 7-8 miles just to catch up to, what I was doing. So, so I thought walking was not hard enough, right? I thought, yeah, that's for old people or whatever. That's the walking is not hard enough for me. If I need to be in shape, I need to go out and run, 7 or 8 miles, right? So when I stopped that thinking and I started actually a consistent walking practice, a lot of things happened. I started, doing some research and learning more and more about walking in general. Um, yeah, if you are out there, let me know how my mic sounds and if my, I want to make sure my like lips are syncing with my microphone if that's the case, because sometimes that happens. Anyway, so yeah, in my opinion, walking is the most underrated form of exercise out there. It's the easiest thing you can do. Unless if you're able to walk, all you have to do is throw on a pair of shoes and you can walk. It's low intensity. Anybody can do it, and you can do it whether you're sore from a workout, or if you're on a rest day or recovery day. You can do it whenever. You can just take 20 minutes out of your day, 30 minutes out of your day, and go for a walk, or break those walks up into multiple walks throughout the day. Um, Again, I love stats, so I throw some stats in here. Walking it's usually called like in the category of LISS, LISS. That's low intense steady state, and that's as it sounds. It's a low intensity steady state form of cardiovascular exercise. Where it is low intensity and steady state because you're like running is a higher intensity form of steady state. You're steadily moving. Okay, cool. Thanks, Stu. Um, so you're steadily moving, so you get that cardio in, and kind of a funny thing happens is that after you've been walking for a little period of time, your body starts to use that fat as fuel instead of the glucose or some of those carbs that are in your body, right? Those are used for more high intensity exercise. But in these lower intense steady states, if you're walking for a good amount of time, and it depends on every person, it could be you need to be walking for about 10, 15 minutes before this system kicks in, but it'll be using your fat primarily as fuel. So that's if you're, over 40 and got a little junk in the trunk, as we say, and you want to get rid of that walking is probably like the best thing that you could do. And it doesn't, it's like, again, it's not hard. It doesn't take a long period of time. Just get out there and go for a walk. I also use it for listen to podcasts or like a silent meditation type time to get my mind right. I talk about mindset a ton, and how important that is for your overall mental and physical health. So it's just a time to kind of forget about the world, get out there by yourself. And if you're walking in a place that has trees, you're in nature, and that's just a mentally healing time that you can have, a quiet time when our crazy busy lives and you have a bunch of stuff going on. And again, time 10, 30, 40 minute, or I say 10, 20, 30-minute walks, are good enough, right? You don't need to be out there for an hour, 2 hours walking. If you have the time, put the time in, right? But you can get out there for a 10, 20-minute walk, and that's gonna give you a lot of benefit. So I have some research here that kind of blew my mind when I was looking into this. So there is research that shows that adding 1,000 extra steps per day is associated with a 12% lower risk of death from any cause, right? So, these numbers and percentages, I think sometimes in these studies, they seem pretty specific, but I wouldn't guarantee these numbers. This just shows that adding more steps every day is going to get you healthier and is going to lower your risk for some problems down the line. That's the whole entirety in the lesson here, right? This next one, if we know, as we get older, we may have parents or know of people that are, suffering not a little bit, but suffering from dementia, Alzheimer's dementia. That's a big problem right now for people that are older, and a lot of us are seeing our parents age and maybe see them going through this. So we want to say, how do we lower our risk for those things? Overall healthy movement and nutrition practice obviously is going to help you with that, but walking itself, just a few days a week, so 2 or 3 days a week, was associated with a 25 to 30% lower risk of dementia and older results. And this, actually, I notice I'm not sharing my screen. So this number right here, 25 to 30% was that blew my mind, right? That is a high percentage. Like when I read that, and I actually heard that on a podcast too, I couldn't believe it. I had to look it up for myself, but that is a number that keeps coming up, right? That's a huge number just for walking 2 or 3 days a week, that you can lower your risk for dementia by that much. That's crazy. Um, Again, these numbers are not guaranteed cause and effect, but as you can see, just going out and doing a simple practice is one of the best things that you can do for your health. That's why I say it is highly underrated. I mean, I know walking is pretty popular right now, but I don't know how people realize like how good it is for you. So I wanted to get that point across. The next one is letting go of ego lifting in the gym. So one thing I am learning as I am aging, and that's something that my program is all about, right? It's all about, racking up volume and not using super heavy weight. You don't need to use super heavy weight. There is progressive overload involved, in your training over time, and you're going to want to add weight, as you go to get stronger, obviously, but there's ways around that. And there's ways of training smarter, to where you're not, endangering your joints or, doing things that are going to be bad for you. So this is all about training smart. It's not about going to the gym and throwing up, oh, I need to bench press, I need to throw up like 230, 225, whatever, your ego number is, just to put that up. Like, we're not 25 anymore. We don't need to be worrying about those things, right? We throw that ego stuff behind. And I have the back squat in here, the barbell back squat, as an example of that, right? Like, I mean, even in my CrossFit days, throwing a bunch of weight on a barbell back squat, just see that I could back squat this much, or I could deadlift this much, and all those ego numbers that we have. The back squat is probably a exercise that I will never do ever again, just because I didn't do it a whole lot anyways, but the risk is not worth any of the reward that it gives. When you use a kettlebell and do there are some different squat variations that you can do with that are way better for your body, and you're still going to see the results and get more strength in your legs and your lower back and all the good things, right? But just the toll that these exercises take on your body, and especially like the amount of weight that a lot of people just rack on for these exercises is ridiculous, and it's really not needed. And I'd say, from my opinion, not very smart for training for people over 40. You want to kind of stay away from these things. Now, it's all your own experience. If you're somebody who loves barbell back squats and you're over 40, okay, like, keep at it, man, keep doing it. But I'm just saying that's for an example of some exercise that I have personally put to the wayside and retired in my own training. For those reasons. Okay, let's talk about winter bulking. Okay, so if you live somewhere where it gets cold, it's November, so it's starting to get cold. So people talk about sweater weather. And yes, it is a time that you can, I guess, relax a little bit. Like, you don't have to worry about being in a swimsuit or things like that. But there's also something called the winter arc, where you're, normally probably going to have less activity, eat a little bit more. So it's an easy time and not conscious bulking. But if you're really spending some time in the gym and really focusing on strength, you can have a little bit of a winter arc, which that is, training hard still in the winter and then putting some muscle on. So when you come out of hibernation, you put on some muscle and you look good, and then you're still in semi-decent shape to get ready for the season to come, the less closed season, I should say. But what I used to do, I think a lot of people do this, is like, you use winter as a time to kind of, oh yeah, I'm bulking, I can just eat whatever I want, right? And that that did me so much harm in the past. It's not even funny, right? I would put on like too much weight, and I mean, I was still training, but then it was just like, I was still trying to stay, it was, I don't know, I don't even know how to explain that. It was just weird. I was trying to kind of not gain weight, but I was gaining weight, so I was just doing the exact opposite, and just all things, I would say all things wrong that I was doing. yeah, but like just eating whatever you want, disguising it as bulking and having to justify that, right? Now, I'm not saying you should not be in a fat loss phase or a calorie deficit for very long periods of time. You can, you know, just do bad things to your hormones. It's not really good for your body, all those things, right? So it's an ebb and flow, seasons where you're going to be more dialed in and in seasons where you're going to be more relaxed, but you're always going to have this consistent thread moving through of your training. You're still eating, you're still paying attention to your nutrition. You may not be, let's say, so dialed in on, like right now I am not as dialed in with my like logging and tracking, right? Like I have gotten to a point where I'm pretty good at knowing what amounts I should be eating. But yes, I do a little bit more snacking this time of year, things like that. So, but just for my mental load, it's good to take a little bit of some time off. But still paying attention, being aware of these things, like not just forgetting about them and just eating, you know, pizza 4 times a week or whatever. Not doing that. So, but just wanted to bring that up. I think that my personal opinion is maybe controversial. I don't know, but bulking in general for people who are 40 is, you know, maybe not the smartest strategy. If it's something you do, something you like, obviously keep doing it. But I just think it's not the smartest strategy for the way our bodies are and the way we want to be. We want to try and be our healthiest self and have have strength, but also have longevity as well. So let's talk about that. Okay, so we go into the refeed day concept. So I have this as a lesson in my LF40 program. I talk about this a lot. This is something that, you know, can be pretty helpful and can be a worthwhile skill to have. Adding in a refeed day here or there would be when you're in let's say you're in a pretty deep or heavy fat loss phase. You got it dialed in, everything's working good. You're going through the week mostly maybe in a calorie deficit, and but you're still feeling good, not too fatigued. You can see that you're getting leaner, feeling good. But when the end of the week comes, or if you're in a calorie deficit for let's say the majority of weeks, right? You can start getting kind of hungry towards the end of the week. And instead of, some people would say, oh, it's good to have a cheat day. Yeah. Like I don't like to call it cheat day. I call them refeed days. So these would be days where you're not just like going crazy and eating whatever you want, right? But you're saying, okay, I'm going to relax the constraints a little bit. I'm going to have, more carbs. I can eat some things, if you want to have, some pizza or whatever on that day, that's cool. I'd say don't go overboard, don't go crazy, but it's good to have a reset. It also resets your body, resets your hormones, reset your metabolism, because now your body's getting refilled and it's going, okay, now I have the fuel to, go on then next week and be able to have enough energy to go through your life and train nice and hard the way you want to. It's just like refilling the tank is, you can look at that, right? A nice little refeed day, on the weekend or the end of the week can, do some benefit. But I go into that more in my program itself, but that's a good kind of strategy to have here. So the last one I have is, so training and nutrition should be non-negotiables. And the way to explain that is, we have our busy lives, right? I mean, careers, kids, all those things. It just, life gets busy. And it is going to be hard, just to be honest, like real talk here. It's going to be hard to fit those things in your life all the time. I mean, you're going to have to skip workouts. There's vacations. You have to live your life. You're going to be eating not the way you should be eating all the time. It's just like, that's the way life is. And that's the reality. We're not robots, right? We have to live our lives. So it's about, and I talk about this too in my LF40 program, it's about fitting these things into your life and developing the skills and the strategies to be able to fit those things into your life. That's the most important thing. But this all should be non-negotiables, okay? Like, you're going to have to sacrifice some things. This should be, you know, we say like health, wealth, self. These things are the most important things in your life, right? Besides your loved ones and everything else. But these are, I mean, your health and one of the number one things for a good life and your quality of life, right? It's not about just living longer, but it's about having a better quality of life and feeling great. So you should be fitting these things into your life. Even if you don't have time, you need to find time. That's what I'm talking about. So you may have to sacrifice or say no to some things. So you may have to, if you're not a morning person and you have a busy day and you have to fit a workout in, you may have to get up in the morning and do that workout, or you may have to skip something to get a workout in, or you may have to move some things around on your schedule to get a workout in. But those things should be non-negotiables. I just heard Arnold Schwarzenegger on a podcast talking about, somebody was saying he's so disciplined, and he was saying, I'm not disciplined, I'm addicted. And that's kind of, you'll get there. That's how you have to be. That's almost how you have to be. You want to stay consistent, and you have to feel like it's, if I miss a workout, it's weird. Like I don't feel, if I have a workout, and sometimes, yes, there are things where you have to respect your recovery, you have to respect your life, and you miss a workout here and there. But I'd say for me too, you want to get to a point where you skip a workout and you feel weird. You're like, oh, I mean, I don't feel good, or I don't feel, I feel weird that I missed this workout. It's part of my life now. It's part of my schedule and how I do things and my lifestyle. Excuse me. And that's what that looks like. When it's a non-negotiable, and I'm going to fit this in no matter what. And I'm going to put something down the list that's maybe not as important to be able to get this thing in. So that's what I'm talking about nutrition and training be your non-negotiables. And the nutrition piece of it is, yeah, I mean, it's a give and take, right? It all depends. But I'd say, I use the example of, when, I work from home now. So when I was going into the office, they have pizza parties on a Tuesday afternoon. And I'm like, this is in the middle of my week, trying to eat good, trying to train. And these people are having a pizza party on a Tuesday at noon. And like, I don't want to sit here and eat pizza and then want to take a nap the rest of the day, or now it throws me off for the rest of the week. So, and I use pizza as an example because like pizza is my food. If that was my last meal, it would be pizza, right? So it's hard for me to say no to that, as I should say that. So you just have to like say, hey, no, I'm cool, man. Like I'm good with what I've got. Enjoy your pizza. Like say no to pizza parties at work, or say no to some things, or it's just, you'll learn that as you go through as you step on the path and go through your journey of, what works best for you. But there should be some things, some boundaries that you have, and some non-negotiables to where when it just helps you adopt that as a lifestyle. And believe me, you'll get there. All right, cool. So I've been talking for a while. This was good. Let's talk about what's coming next, like some exciting things that are coming next. And you'll be hearing these things from me in the near future. But again, wanting to be more on that human connection, have more conversation, cutting off those, digital walls that we have, and just putting myself out there more and being more, making myself more connected to you in a way, so we can get to know each other a little bit more, like on that real level, right? More conversation, being able to be here, support, answer questions, have that back and forth conversation. Again, like some of those live events that I have coming up, like the round table, for instance, things like that, of like having real conversation and cutting through the weeds and the struggles that we all have, and getting to the best place that we can be. That's the goal. And, more coaching. So I always throw a human coaching aspect in anything that I do, but trying to focus more on that. How can I serve you in a better way, in a more human way? again, we're talking about this age of AI where there's just automation and, I mean, I'd say not even AI, but just the social media space in general. I'm on there all the time, and I don't even understand some of the things that people talk about sometimes in the health and fitness space. It's freaking ridiculous, right? Like, this one pops in my head, and I'm just going to share this because I just saw this the other day where it was obviously staged. You walked up to some guy on the beach. He was ripped to shreds, muscles popping out everywhere, right? And they're asking him, what do you do to stay in shape? And he says, I do. And they were trying to sell something. Obviously, I won't call anybody out, but I do this thing. And oh, hold up. Thanks, Stu. Cool. Have fun bicycling, and yes, cool. You have a great weekend too. All right, back to oh yeah. So I was yeah, so the guy on the beach, they're like, what do you do to stay in shape? He said, I do this thing. And it was a thing that was, I don't know, could be or could be not BS, but it sounded like BS to me. But he said, I don't even work out at the gym. He's just like, I'm like, not only do you work out at the gym, but you're probably doing some extracurricular things too, to have the muscles popping out the way they're popping out. Right. And it's just like those things drive me crazy because people fall for those things. And it's just there's a lot of total BS out there, like cut out total food groups and do this, do that. Right. It's just, there's so much confusion, and it doesn't have to be that confusing. And I also, that's a part of my mission and my goal is to cut through all that BS for you, and just deliver things that kind of make sense and are simple and are science and research backed, and things that I've seen in my life that work. I don't talk about anything that I haven't experienced in my own life or have seen or have read about extensively. Believe that is a 100% guarantee on that. So you'll never hear me come at you in that kind of way or that kind of level. So anyway, so more emphasis on human connection, conversation, and coaching. So I'm switching up it's like a strategic pivot in my business. I am switching up the way I format my program, Lean and Fit Over 40, to make it more human connected, have more conversation, and have better coaching and serve you better. So I'm going to be turning that into a membership. And you're the first person to hear about this. I have not mentioned this to anybody except people in my close circle. I'm having a membership. I think it's the best way for somebody to get the real progress and real transformation you're looking for. This isn't a 4-week, 8-week, 16-week thing, right? You need to be able to jump in a program and have the human connection and accountability to keep those, and the feedback, like I was saying before, to keep those things going. Because it takes, I'm just going to be real with you here. I am not about quick fixes. Yes, you can see there are some quick wins that you can have to keep you going. And there are those wins and milestones that keep you going. Obviously, when you see a gain, or you see that, oh, I'm getting stronger, or I'm getting leaner, and my clothes are fitting better, or I'm just moving more, I'm feeling better, right? Like you'll see those milestones here and there, and that's what's really going to keep you going. Like that whole thing I get, right? But if you're paying money to jump in a program, you don't want to just roll through something one time, and then what happens after those 4 months or 5 months or 6 months, right? Like you need like continuous help and feedback. And then we all in this age of digital siloedness, right? Like we are all searching for, excuse me if I just burps in my live, but anyway, so we all need connection, right? Like, and I think community and being in a space of people that are going through the same struggles and on the same path, on the same journey, is probably the most important thing. And I've learned that in just recently in some programs and memberships that I am in, right? Like even coaching and having a business and being an entrepreneur and wanting to, be the best coach possible for you, right? We have to be continually coaches need coaches, right? We need people to keep us accountable and keep us on track and be able to bounce things, ideas off people, because we're just sitting in a room, by ourselves, trying to figure out the best way to help and serve people. So being in a community of people that are going through those same things it's priceless. It's so valuable, I think. So I want to bring that into my own program. So that's going to be a big push that I have in the coming months, and like I said, the foreseeable future. And that's going to be like, there's going to be fun challenges, and I want to make it fun. It's going to be like I want it to be like a party and not like a, some kind of thing you're in. Obviously you're going to be learning, but I want it to be like, that's why I call my monthly meetups a round table, where we're just coming in there having conversations and, feeding off each other. I think that's going to be a great thing. Have an idea for a podcast coming up. I want to get my voice out there to as many people as possible. So you'll see, and it's going to be a video podcast. You'll see that here on YouTube. And also I'll stream that out to, the other channels out there like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, all of those things. So be on the lookout for that. And I will probably do my next live will probably be talking a little bit more about that. The name, why I named it a certain thing, what's going to be all about, what to look forward to there. So look out for that. Again, I said VIP community. So it's called the Fit 40 Inner Circle. It's going to be inner circle of, people over 40, men and women, on the same path as you. We're all going to learn and feed off each other. And, just being in that room with the people going through the same things. Sometimes the people in our lives just are not, maybe, I don't want to say on the same level, but they're just not there, right? And we need people that are going through these same things to be able to relate and to be able to, help us move forward. So that's what that's all about. And I just want to say, so I have here, my last note is I'm bringing it, right? Like that, let's go, right? Like that's the energy that I want to bring the rest of this year into next year and going forward, right? Like I try and keep the energy up. I'm bringing it. I want you to bring it. I'm going to show up for you. And you're going to see that, coming here in the near future. But yeah, cool. So we've been on here for for over an hour. I appreciate your time, you coming in here watching, even if you're watching the replay, appreciate it. Right. I loved it. I like this. I like this format. I'm going to do more of these. Again, this is Saturday morning, drinking my coffee. Needs to be, I don't know what this is going to be. It's organically going to turn into something. If it's like coffee chats with Tony or whatever you want to call that. Excuse me. So, I may have this on some of these may be spontaneous, some of these may be on a cadence. I may have these as office hours. I'm not sure. I haven't really decided on what that is yet, but I can promise you this: you're going to hear more from me. There's going to be more human connection. I'm going to be on here more, and yeah. So just stay tuned. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Get out there, move, even if it's cold, get out there, do some training, pay attention to eating, all those things, right? So I don't know. I enjoyed talking to you today. All right. So I'll see you later. All right. Peace.